Hi, it's Suzanne Delaney here from the Irish Inquiry, and it's quite late, but I just thought I would do a quick video on what happened to the 10-year-old child today. Based off the murder of the Ukrainian last week by the Somali asylum seeker, I was actually going to do a video tomorrow on some of what I'm going to explain here. Then news came in that the 10-year-old Irish child had been raped by an African asylum seeker in his 30s at an IPAS centre in City West in Dublin. So I just thought I would do a quick video as there is some overlap between this video and the one I was going to do tomorrow. I guess people might be wondering why that Irish child in Tusla's care was doing, what was she doing at an IPAS centre? Well, I'm going to explain exactly why and how she could have been there. I've been trying to tell people for a while now that one of the greatest evils perpetrated in this country is the prevalence of public-private partnerships that outsource care for vulnerable people into the hands of the greedy and the exploitative. When I explain, you will understand what I mean. Tusla has paid $215 million to unregulated SCAs or special emergency arrangement companies, and this is putting very vulnerable children at severe risk of sex trafficking. The top earning company is Baig and Mirza Health Services. They have received a total of $41 million so far, and they operated the apartment where the Ukrainian was stabbed over 100 times by a Somali asylum seeker last week. Their directors/CEOs are Muslims Mohammed Hussein Baig and Farhan Mirza. Baig and Mirza and other unregulated SCAs provide care, I use that term extremely loosely, in the form of hotel rooms, apartments and Airbnbs. Children as young as a few months old are kept in these places, sometimes with one or more staff who are unvetted. In the case of some SCAs, it has been found that background checks have been falsified. An African pastor and his wife were found to be doing this and did not receive prison sentences. Children are going missing from these places. Children are being sex trafficked and not adequately supervised. Children of all ages, exploited by rape gangs who mysteriously never seem to be arrested, identified or go on trial, which leads me to believe that the perpetrators may be of a similar profile to those in Rotherham and Rochdale, etc. In one case, a 12-year-old boy with severe disabilities was targeted by said gangs. This was highlighted in a paper called Protecting Against Predators, an exploratory study on the sexual exploitation of children and young people in Ireland. The paper mentions that the gangs are similar in nature to those that targeted young vulnerable girls in the UK for so long. Another case worthy of mention that was not in that paper is the case of a 14-year-old African child who was in care for just 1 hour before she was taken. She was found a year later in a brothel, having been raped hundreds, if not thousands of times. Additionally, these unregulated care services are not reporting when girls are targeted by rape gangs. In my view, this is because these services stand to lose lucrative contracts if they highlight that their lack of adequate supervision has led to the brutal sexual exploitation of extremely vulnerable children. I also have the view that some of these staff in various SCAs are involved in trafficking children. Furthermore, Tusla will leave children in IPAS centres unaccompanied when they cannot find suitable placements. But what could be more unsuitable than an IPAS centre? I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, I'm just saying that it happens and people may not be aware. Additionally, in regard to unregulated SCAs, there is little to no public oversight, and when HICWA inspections have been carried out, the inspectors found in many instances staff were, as previously mentioned, unvetted. And it also found that children in these SCAs are experiencing neglect, abuse and isolation. What's more is that Tusla are knowingly placing adult males, that is, asylum seekers claiming to be children, in SCAs with actual children and also in schools, even when these males are obviously identifiable as being grown-ups whose backgrounds are untraceable. I did a video on this previously after a teacher contacted me about this matter. So I, for one, have known for a long time exactly how a 10-year-old Irish child could get raped at an IPAS centre by an unvetted African male asylum seeker in their 30s when she's supposed to be in the care of Tusla. I've known for a long time how taxpayers' wealth is being transferred into the hands of SCAs when the state could and should provide safe accommodation for children who are already traumatised and vulnerable. Plus, it would be more cost effective. Politicians and media are suspiciously silent generally on these issues, of course, even though they too know what's happening. Everyone is great at looking back at Ireland's past abuse scandals, wringing their hands and convinced they would have done something or not went along with what happened, and it's just not true. How do I know that? Because they're going along with it now, and not only that, some of them are covering it up. Sadly, the rape of this poor child will not change that. It will not change Tusla, and it will not change the hearts and minds of Catherine Connolly, Heather Humphreys, the government, media, NGOs, and the Open Borders Brigade. They're happy to sacrifice children on the altar of mass immigration and greed, and none of them have highlighted how the Child Law Project was cancelled by Roderick O'Gorman in order to prevent public oversight into Tusla. To that young girl who was raped, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry that you were in care. I'm really sorry that an African male asylum seeker in his 30s did this to you. I'm really sorry that there's going to be so many more like you. My daughter is a very similar age. She is 9 years old and this little girl was 10. And I put my child to bed this evening where she is safe and looked after. At least in this house she is. But our country is becoming more unsafe by the minute. I'm wondering when people are actually going to stand up. This evening, a child went to bed without loving parents after being brutally raped by a man who shouldn't be here. I don't care if those facts don't sit well with some, and if they want to call me racist and whatever else they'd like to throw in. My concern is for children in this country, and in particular children who are already extremely vulnerable and are in Tusla's care. I'm asking people, please make a stand. I don't know what that would look like to you, but do something, because these children in Tusla's care, they don't have a voice. Therefore, we have to be that voice for them.